And welcome back. Today I have Jack Connolly on. Jack is the board treasurer for Third Mutual. Nice to have you on, sir. Welcome.
Very nice to be here.
And you got a couple things you want to talk about today. I know one of the things is the water issue.
Yes. Right? One of the things the board is trying to do, always trying to do, is to keep the assessments as low as possible.
Right.
Because we pay it too, and people are retired, and incomes are not generous for some people. And one of the biggest expenses we have that we have very little control over now is our water bill. Mm-hmm. We were almost $200,000 over budget.
Wow.
And that translates at some point to the need to raise assessments unless we can bring this under control.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just starting to look at it. We don't expect water is going to get any cheaper in the coming years.
No, I don't think so.
And we're going to ask the help of residents in controlling this, including using high efficiency toilets, shower heads, and so on and so forth. We're just beginning to look at this, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have a plan that will keep these bills lower.
Okay. Now you've been on the board a fairly short time.
I joined the board. I was appointed to the board last June. Had some health care problems. Became more active in the fall and was elected president.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, treasurer at the last board meeting.
So what made you want to get onto the board?
I had been on HOA boards and commissions for the last 25 years.
Okay.
I went to a couple board meetings. I saw that there were not many people applying to be on the boards. Mm-hmm. And I could understand that because there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I brought some skill as a former treasurer with me and thought I could help, and I joined.
Okay, so that's your background in finance?
No, my background, I've got my doctorate in anthropology.
Oh, okay.
I worked in Appalachia for a year identifying disabled kids. Then I worked for the city of Chicago for the Health Systems Agency and ran it for a bit. The Health Systems Agency was set up by the federal government to help contain healthcare costs. Mm-hmm. And what we had to do is review any application to spend $50,000 or more on capital goods to put up a new hospital, things like that. That's where I picked up my finance.
Oh,
then I worked for a nonprofit, ran that and set up the pension plan, and picked up a little more of finance. Now I can say I can count at least to 20 by taking off my shoes.
All right. Very good. So you have quite a diverse background.
It's kept me out of the pool halls.
And how long have you lived here?
We moved here in May of 2016 and couldn't be happier with the move.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Now, as you're now the board treasurer, and what are some of the things that you would like to accomplish, or the way you might do things a little bit differently?
I don't know how much I do differently. I had a predecessor, Steve Parsons, who was terrific.
Right, yeah.
And I'm still learning from him. One of the things I'm interested in is keeping a close watch on our investments for our reserve funds. We have a fairly substantial reserve fund, and it takes some looking after every once in a while. I'm also interested in what kind of feedback we get from management in expenses. We've had a couple situations where we run into surprises that we shouldn't have had. It's a complicated organization. It's we have a $35 million, around a $35 million budget, and it takes a lot of looking after. I don't do it myself, but we have a pretty good board, and we have a great board president who doesn't miss a thing.
Now, as far as your time on the board, it's only been a few months.
Right.
Was there a learning curve for you? I mean, I always say there's a learning curve just because, as you said, it's not an easy system to grasp very quickly.
The procedures you have to learn, some of the protocols, some of just what are the roles of the different board members. Yeah, I think I had the benefit of being on other boards before I came here, so I had at least a general sense of what was appropriate and what wasn't appropriate. One of the difficulties that I faced is joining the board, there isn't a thick written manual of
Right.
this is what you should do in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Other boards did have that I was on. But with the help of the other directors, I was able to get up to speed. One of the things they do that I appreciated is they assign a new board member a director mentor that can help you through the issues. I feel impressed that the tenor of the board is to be helpful.
Right.
It isn't, we can't do this, that's a bad idea, we've always done it this way. We're all invested in this.
Yes,
which
I see what you're
is
saying.
really, really important. What else can I tell you?
Now, getting back to, you mentioned investments with reserve. Now, of course, there's a balance there because you want something that is safe and fairly conservative, although that doesn't pay out very much.
That's exactly right.
Certainly compared to 10 years ago.
Yeah. We're in a kind of an unusual situation now because virtually all of our money is in bonds. And this would be, Ginnie Mae's, Treasury bills, some corporate bonds. And right now it's bond glory because the stock market is tanking and people are running to bonds. So we're doing really well. But if we were in another market, like we just left, where the stock market was going through the roof, bonds are not very favorable, and you can lose money that you don't even know about because it's inflation. The dollar amount is the same, but the buying amount shrinks. Right.
Now, you guys must then hold the bonds. Are you in mutual bonds or bonds in singular bonds?
Most of there's all kinds of bonds, but treasuries and Ginnie Mae's, I think, make up the majority of the bonds. Merrill Lynch and BlackRock are the managers. BlackRock is the single largest debt manager on the planet.
Right. Okay. I was wondering about that because, of course, interest rates are rising a bit, so the value of bonds can go down unless you keep them to maturity.
And we're looking at this with help of outside experts. We have a terrific banker that's giving us good counsel. The key is you have a number of different people watching these things. You don't just leave it in one person's hands.
Right, that's true.
So far, so good.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
That I'm very happy to be here and to be of service on the board, and that's it.
All right. Nice to meet you, sir.
Very nice.
We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back. I will get you unhooked in just a second.
Oh, okay.